All right. So, Carol, you just went and took the test. What day? I forget.
I took it Saturday morning.
Okay. Carol, you've been coaching with me for a couple months now,
Yeah.
and I know we've gone back and forth. It's been a roller coaster. I think every student has questions about, am I ready to go take the test? And I've been telling you for a little bit now, yes, go do it. How did it go?
Right. It went really well. I was pleasantly surprised. Like I expected to pass, but I ended up getting above target in all three areas, and that was a happy surprise.
Congrats.
Because it was definitely very difficult. Like I was flagging a good bit of questions to go back and review. And most of them I just stuck with my original first response. I remember you saying just usually going to get it down to 50-50, and then it's probably safer to just go with your gut. So that's what I did. Worked out.
That's awesome. I always tell everybody, and you guys have heard me say it, like I love to see people come back to the call and they're smiling and they're excited because they don't have to study this stuff for a little while. The success kind of like shows through on your face. But talk to me about like leading up to the test. I want to know how you studied. I want to know what worked for you, what didn't work for you. Were you nervous going into the test? All of that.
Okay, so leading up to the test that last week or so, obviously I'd already finished all the videos, but I used the list that you gave me and went back to some that, especially like Agile that were coming up on my practice test, is a little bit of a weaker area, and rewatched them. And like the one with all of the 7 flows, rewatched that one and just did what works for my learning style, I guess, and took a lot of notes on anything that I was missing, and added it to my evaporating data dump, which I had formatted a little oddly. Like I took the whole like chart that's in the one view and was kind of putting ideas in wherever I was missing things, like directly into that. And that kind of helped me see where in the flows I needed to work a little harder on anything.
Can I ask, do you like work in your career in a agile environment or a waterfall? Or neither?
Honestly, it's kind of an awkward mismatch between the two, and
Okay.
it could use a lot of improvements. So
Where I was
a
going
lot of
with
this
that,
was new to me going into it.
yeah, I was gonna ask, like, did you find one side of that equation more difficult to understand or to study than the other?
Honestly, the hardest thing was just picking up all of the new terms. Like both logically made a lot of sense to me as I looked through them. There were just parts that were a little more difficult, like some of the like quality control, cost management. I was unfamiliar with just because I'd never seen it done like that.
Okay. Yeah, I think a lot of times project managers in their day job are working in a very strict section of project management and maybe don't get to experience all of the things that the PMBOK is talking about, or don't get to
Exactly.
experience agile or whatever. So every student has their own bias they come into the exam with. You would agree there is a ton of agile, a ton of hybrid on the test, yes?
Yeah. I would say it was more than half like hybrid, where it was kind of ambiguous between is this waterfall or agile. And
All the questions are situational. So
yes.
same kind of thing that we're doing with these hard questions with the simulator, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Like looking at my results, I was getting between like 75 to 80 on a lot of the practice tests by those last few days. And that's pretty much, if you look at the little bars of where you land, it was rated like 80%. So
nice.
accurate.
Yeah, 75s, 80s in our simulator is awesome. Do you find that the simulator, PMmasterPrep simulator, is a little bit harder than the real test, or vice versa?
It was harder in terms of just being like more complex, wordier situations. A lot of these questions were a good bit shorter.
Okay, cool.
And then there was also a handful of like matching kind of ones, just different formats, a good bit of check 2 or 3.
Sure.
So more of those than I thought there would be.
How did you do time management wise? Because that's something that I always preach is trying to get everybody to speed up and do these quickly.
I wasn't too worried about time because on all the practice tests, I was going kind of quick. I just kind of had to slow myself down because I would miss like important little words, like pick the least. But I finished the test with about like 45 minutes to spare. And by that point, I was like, I can't look at this anymore. I'm done. Go.
That's awesome. That's great. Like the last thing I want is for somebody not to have enough time, but if you have 45 minutes extra.
I may just follow the process that Scott suggests, would do 25 questions and then just take a little break from staring at it for a second.
Yeah.
Do another 20, finish up the set of 60 and then review. And then I would take, you could have a 10-minute break in between, but I took more like a 3 to 5 minute break because I was just anxious to go get it over with.
Okay.
Plus I did a testing center. So I was like, this is awkward. I'm just going to go back and continue now.
That's a good point, right? Because you can take it from home, you can take it in the test center. Was there anything else about the test center environment that people should know about? Anything weird?
I mean, they give you noise canceling headphones, so any noise of people around me was very muted, but the room was like full of other people taking various tests. So like in my peripheral vision, I could see people getting up to leave and coming back in, but it didn't really bother me too much. Okay. The one I went to like just had these clear dividers between the computers. And I was like, this is odd and pointless. What is this? So
well, let's let everybody else on the call here ask the questions that they're curious about. Okay. Some of you guys on this call are like really close to going to take the exam and doing the same thing. So questions do you have for Carol?
So they give you a pair of noise canceling headphones. Can you bring in your own, or do you just have to use the flea bitten ones that they have?
I didn't ask if I could bring my own. I just saw that they had some. I know they were like very thoroughly sanitizing in between people, so I wasn't too worried about them.
I don't think they want you to have something that could be talking in your ear. You know, they don't let you have any device that you could communicate with. So you probably got to use theirs. I have been to other test centers for other tests that give you earplugs instead that are like single use. So if that makes you feel better. What other questions do you guys have?
Yeah, I got one, Carol. Did you notice a lot of 50-50? Like it's usually easy to get down to the last two answers that are the likely answer. In the hard questions made easy, the most of them that I've been getting wrong, it's usually a really tough choice between two semi-good answers. Did you run into that a lot?
Right. That happened a good bit. So like out of every 60 question set, I would flag any of those that I was down to 50-50 on. And it was maybe, I don't know, 15 to 20 or so out of the set that I was like, I'm just going to take another look at this, which seems like a pretty big fraction, but I mean, it's a hard test. Okay. And most of those I would end up going with my first choice, but it made me feel a little better just to look at it one more time and think about it while I had the time to do so.
Cool. Okay. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody else? You guys are shy tonight. We're gonna have to get you warmed up. Trying to think what other questions I have, Carol, but when you went to the test itself, did you feel like this is it, I'm ready, 100% confident?
I really did. I felt like I'd pretty much followed the process and gone through everything that I could have practiced for it. And I was doing all right on the simulators. So I was like, well, if I'm hitting the scores that they say won't get me a pass, then I'm probably going to pass.
So I think one of the big questions that everybody always asks is like, how do you know when you're ready to go and take the test? Because you could study this stuff forever and never learn everything in project management. So what metric, I guess, besides the simulator, what else made you feel like you were ready to go? Was it just talking about it and you felt fluid when you talked about project management?
That and just going through my data dump and being able to look at all of it, be like, okay, everything that used to confuse and baffle me, I'm pretty good on all this. I understand all of this. So just being able to see that in this thing that was really quite a massive list from the beginning, that it wasn't so ambiguous to me anymore. That was comforting enough to say, all right, I probably know enough to do all right on this thing.
Great.
But I did some like practicing talking, like my husband's going for PMP too. So we would talk and practice a good bit.
Yeah, I think having somebody else to study with is an awesome benefit. So I always support study groups, or even if you guys have one-on-one sessions outside of here. Anything else, Carol, that you want to leave these guys with? Last words of wisdom?
Nothing other than you guys got this. I'm excited to hear when you guys all pass too.
Nice. Well, congratulations. It really is a hard test. It's a lot of work. You put in all the work. I'm psyched that I was able to be here to kind of help guide you through it. But yeah, it was all you, and you did a great job. So you know how to get a hold of us, and I'm sure we'll be in touch in the future. So,
all right. Well, thank you so much. You were an awesome coach. I've been bragging to everybody about what a good experience it's been. So thank you.
Appreciate that. We'll let you go celebrate, and I'm going to keep going with everybody else on this call. So have a wonderful night. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. You guys have fun.